David, I want to go to you first. You're suing the governor of California to be able to, as you say, cure gay young people. And it's, again, as I understand, this whole issue is about just under the age of 18. Isn't that right? You want to be able to practice on adolescents.
That's correct, but I need to correct something you just stated. I've never called it and will never call it a cure. None of my colleagues nor I believe that homosexuality is a mental illness. And when you say cure, it really leaves the wrong impression in the minds of the public.
Okay, clear that up. What is it then?
It's maximizing heterosexual potential through authentic reparative therapy, which worked for me. There are many men and women, but I'll speak mainly about men since that's who I primarily treat, who believe and know that for them, homosexuality does not represent their authentic selves, but has a cause and effect nature, as opposed to being innate or naturally inborn. For instance, in my case, not the only cause, but one of the major causes of my feelings of homosexuality through puberty was because I was a victim of sexual abuse by a much older male. And so that's my situation, and I find
and that's a common story, and and people would argue that that can be changed. But Ryan, I'm going to go to Ryan now, if you don't mind. And Ryan, I know you originally were not willing to appear with David, but I'm glad you did decide to come, and I appreciate that. Tell me how you respond to that and what you went through as a teenager.
Well, I mean, Mr. Pickup is clearly lying, right? I mean, I did an interview on CBC Radio where Mr. Pickup followed me, and he said that homosexuality is caused by an emotional trauma. So he is, of course...
But he's talking about his sexual trauma.
Yeah, but he's also saying that, I'm not saying that you can cure this, I'm not saying that it's a mental illness. Okay. Well, he is framing it in that language. And something else I should point out, by saying that, as Mr. Pickup does, that this bill, SB 1172, will prevent the victims of pedophiles like those of Jerry Sandusky, which is exactly the words you've used, sir, from getting appropriate mental health treatment, that goes back to a long line of LGBT people as a threat to children that has its roots in Anita Bryant and the Briggs Initiative.
Talk to me about what happened to you. What was treatment like for you?
So when I was 14 years old, my parents found out that I'm a gay man. They sent me to a series of reversal therapists, including Joseph Nicolosi, who is a member of NARTH, along with Mr. Pickup. And it destroyed my entire life. I mean, they were engaging in coercive attacks against my identity by intimating that there's something defective and wrong with being a gay person. What were the consequences?
You said it almost killed you. What happened?
Absolutely. So we know from social science that there are certain things that happen with familial rejection of gay people, including increased risks of suicidal ideation, increased rates of drug abuse, homelessness, depression. That was a checklist that happened to me. I was depressed, I was suicidal, I was occasionally homeless, and I was on drugs.
And you're saying that connects to the fact that your family rejected you because you failed the curative therapy? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I mean, so these reparative therapists are legitimizing the idea that there is something to cure.
Okay. Now, Ariva, I want to go to you. Now, what I'm confused about is, we're really talking about, if an adult male wants to get this therapy, he still can. We're really talking about a state law to teach adolescents, which, again, can't technically make decisions about these kinds of things, so it's an attempt to protect adolescents from something that the science doesn't yet substantiate. Is that right?
Absolutely correct, Dr. Drew, and I applaud Governor Jerry Brown and Senator Ted Lieu, who was the author of this bill, and all of the California legislators that enacted this bill. This is an important piece of legislation that protects minors. You are so correct. The state has an obligation to step in when practices are done that are harmful to kids, and this is exactly what it did. There's no scientific basis for this therapy. All of the major mental health and medical associations have come out in favor of the bill and in support of ending this type of therapy for minors. And the young man that's joining you today, he's a prime example of someone that has suffered from this type of unscientific, non-medically based therapy. So again, I applaud California for taking this giant step.
Fair enough.